have some real talk tonight. So, for everybody who's coming in, I am Dr. Amber Joy Daniel, and it is my honor and my privilege to invite you, to host you, to facilitate for you in tonight's meeting. And I see some friends who we know, I see some faces and some names that we know, and some that we don't know. So, welcome, welcome, welcome to all those who we've never met before, and welcome to the familiar faces. So, if you're new to our world, um, I am, like I said, Dr. Amber Joy Daniel, and it has been my privilege and my honor to walk alongside certain ones in our tribe from their singleness into their marriage, and it's been wonderful. We have learned a lot, and so what I bring to the table is experience, my own, as well as that from a number of ladies and gentlemen. We have ladies and gentlemen who have come through our process or processes and have had success. And we have some ladies and gentlemen who are with us still, and there remain some things that we've needed to know. And so that's what this evening is about. This evening, this challenge for the next 5 nights, I really want to facilitate for you some real talk and some real conversation about where the rubber is hitting the road and where it is connecting or not connecting as it should. And we really want to win. My heart for you is that you win. And so because this is going to be more of a real talk session, I want to invite you please to turn your cameras on and to participate in the conversation. So I know that for some of us, it's wee hours of the morning. Charisse in the UK over there, and it's quite early in the morning at this time, and she's here with us. So we say whoa to all those joining us from afar. But I really want to invite you to turn your cameras on so that we can see who we're interacting with, and we can have a real vulnerable, real live question and answer, discuss through the things that we probably can't say in other places. That's what tonight is going to be about. And we are privileged to have a gentleman who has volunteered to kind of be in the hot seat. If you've got a burning question that you'd like to hear from the male perspective, we've got a gentleman here who would be sharing that perspective with us. So I know that it will take some people maybe a little bit of time to get the hair all right, or do the eyes or whatever you want to do before you come on camera. I want to give you a little minute to do that. So in the meantime, would you tell us in the chat your name, or it will tell us that, but where you're joining us from, and just say hello to everybody. So please write in the chat for us where you're joining us from, and we'd really like to just shout you out. All right, so we have Tampa, Florida in the house. We have who else? We only have Sherry from Tampa. Tell us where you are. We've got Houston, Texas in the house. So we're waiting for everybody to share where they're joining us from. Fort Worth, Texas. Texas is well represented this evening. Texas is well represented.
Most people believe you need hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And while I see who else is here, where they're joining us from, we've got London, England, Montreal. Hi, Tennille, or is it Tennelle from Trinidad? We've got Trinidad. We've got Oshkosh or Oshkosh. How do I say that? Wisconsin, but currently in Indianapolis. Jason from Trinidad. Very nice to have you. And the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, now that I know what that is in Canada. All right. So before we get further afield, we're very happy to have the Jason from Trinidad. I wonder if this is JP, if your last name is Polo. I'd be very interested if your last name is Polo. Um, so We are very honored to have these gentlemen with us. And gentlemen, you are in the presence of some amazing women. And we're going to have some real talk tonight, and I hope that that's okay. So let me just start with a word of prayer, and then we'll go in from there. So, Heavenly Father, we thank you for every heart and every life here tonight, represented tonight. Come, Holy Spirit, have your way. Show us secrets that we've never seen before. Give us answers. Show us insights and inroads to things that will completely transform our journey from single to soulmate. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Oh, hello, Jason Peters. It is very nice to meet you, Jason Peters. We know some Peterses, so it is very nice to have another Peters in the house. All right, guys. So I'm going to play for us a video, a few videos, and you guys will tell me what you see, and then we're going to go from there. So these videos were all up, but I have to find them again because my internet went out. So this is uh this is the first one. It's a good thing I know which videos I wanted to show. Huh. All right. So here we go.
The law is reason free from passion. Does anyone know who spoke those immortal words? Yeah.
Aristotle.
Are you sure?
Yes?
Would you be willing to stake your life on it?
I think so.
What about his life?
I don't know.
Well, I recommend knowing before speaking. The law leaves much room for interpretation, but very little for self-doubt. And you were right. It was Aristotle. Now, I assume all of you have read pages 1 through 48 and are now well-versed in subject matter jurisdiction. Who can tell us about Gordon versus Steele? Let's call on someone from the Hotzer. Elle Woods.
Oh, um, actually, I wasn't aware that we had an assignment.
Oh. Vivian Kensington, do you think it's acceptable that Ms. Woods is not prepared?
No. I don't.
Would you support my decision to ask her to leave class and to return only when she is prepared?
Absolutely.
Now, Miss Kensington, did diversity jurisdiction exist in this case?
No, it did not.
Good. How about in the case of Owens versus McCall?
All right, guys. So what do you guys think? So we're analyzing the two females the two females that we're seeing operating in that clip. What do you guys think? What did you guys see? And welcome to everybody who joined us. Now, guys, I'm not going to be teaching till the very last thing. So everybody's going to have to imagine that this is Oprah and I'm a Trinidadian version. Um, so that you have to share your thoughts. So I want to invite everybody to share something. Share with us what you saw about any of the two women, the teacher or the student. Okay, so Sherry, are you available to share that? Are you able to share that in spoken word?
So the teacher was in the masculine and was very businesslike, very, strict about what she was saying, very bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
And then Elle was like, oh, well, I didn't know we had an assignment.
Right, right. Okay, good. Very good. Very obvious. And I'm going somewhere. Yes, very good. Anybody else? Thank you very much, Lady Sherry.
Thank you.
No, we're actually going somewhere with this. All right, let me show you another clip. Let me show you another clip. Since everybody's so quiet, let me show you this other one. And I had all of these queued before, so I apologize that.
Jillian, why does she want me to call her?
Give me 1 second to share this here.
Well, that was originally my cup.
And I'm drinking your coffee. Why?
Because your coffee spilled.
Okay, give me 1 second.
So you drink unsweetened cinnamon light soy lattes.
I do.
Hmm.
It's like Christmas in a cup.
Is that a coincidence?
All right, let's go.
Incredibly,
Who is Jillian? And why does she want me to call her?
Well, that was originally my cup.
And I'm drinking your coffee. Why?
Because your coffee spilled.
So you drink unsweetened cinnamon light soy lattes.
I do. It's like Christmas in a cup.
Is that a coincidence?
Incredibly, it is. I mean, I wouldn't possibly drink the same coffee that you drink just in case yours spilled. That would be pathetic. Morning.
Who is Jillian? And why does she want me to call her?
Well, that was originally my.
Okay, so I need to pause this here because we actually also need the scene right after.
Unsweetened cinnamon light soy lattes.
I do. It's like Christmas in a cup.
Is that a coincidence?
Incredibly, it is. I mean, I wouldn't possibly drink the same coffee that you drink just in case yours spilled. That would be pathetic. Morning, estate's office. Hey, Bob. Actually, we're headed to your office right now. Yeah. Why are we headed to Bob's office?
Unsweetened cinnamon light soy
Okay,
lattes.
so what happens, I'll stop the share here. What happens in the next scene is that he goes quickly to his desk and as they are walking out, he sends an email to the entire office and it says, "The witch is on her broom." And everybody straightens up and everybody gets all, because this Miss Tate is coming through. Any observations about that clip? So,
Yeah, I'll jump in. She is very domineering, and you see typical gender roles reversed. So even though the male is normally in a more an ascendant dominant position. It is the opposite here, and yeah.
Okay, great, great observations all around. And in the chat, Sherry didn't say the mindset piece, but she said that in the chat that the teacher was in all masculine and feminine, and Elle was in feminine mindset. Gordon says, I thought the blonde was really cute, although on the Dipsy side. And I said, oh my gosh, it's a classic. And then talking about the second one, I was talking about the first one, Legally Blonde, and then talking about the second one. Hannah says she's standing on business. And well, Gordon and Rayanne, thank you so much for those comments. Says that we see a reversal of typical jobs, typical roles. And that's where I want to begin tonight. And guys, I am still hoping that we can have some real discussion around this. I want to throw out there that what the kingdom, guys, I'm gonna talk about two kingdoms throughout the next 5 nights. And I would like to present to you an enemy. I'd like to present to you an enemy that hates you and an enemy that hates your destiny, because two are better than one, because they have a good return. When they toil, they're not alone. I didn't make that up. That's actually Song of Solomon or Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes, I think, that two are better than one. And if we go back to the book of Genesis, before Adam was given the dominion mandate, which was, hey, dude, your job is to make hair just like heaven. I have given this earth to you. You make it just like what you've seen and you know of me and of heaven. You are my representative here. Adam actually means God's blood. So you're my God's blood down here. You carry my name, you carry my nature, you carry my DNA. And I'm going to go straight out the gate and maybe present some theology some people may not have heard before. If dogs make puppies, which are little dogs, and cows make little cows, then God, if he said he made Adam in his own image and his own likeness, God didn't make a human. God made gods. Not that we are to be worshipped. He is the King of all kings, which makes us kings, and he's the King of us, and he's the Lord of all lords. And he intended that in the earth realm, we would be the kings, the priests, and the lords in this realm. And because that has been misunderstood, there have been many atrocities, many powers, many thrones, many places of authority that have been stolen, that have been given up. And our job is to exercise our dominion mandate and take those back. And I hope that that is okay for me to share all of that so quickly coming out to the gate. But let's talk about this dominion mandate. Adam did not get it until he had his wife. Until he had the help that was meet for him. Adam was having fun, naming the trees and all the animals, and he was exercising some authority, but he didn't have dominion. It's only after that covenant relationship was established with him and Eve that together they were given the dominion mandate, that now they were to have dominion. And then all the categories of creation came under that dominion and mandate. Have dominion over the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, over the land and the trees and everything in them and all the animals. Have dominion over the earth and subdue it. Okay. So remember, I was presenting you an enemy. I was presenting you an enemy that hates you. An enemy that hates you because you are the rightful Lord and King to represent the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords in this realm. And if you find out who you are, and if you find out your assignment and fulfill it, well then, that enemy was displaced from heaven, and you would essentially make that enemy displaced from earth. And so people say, going from single to soulmate is not important because it's just a love thing, you know. And after all, what's love got to do? Got to do with it? Y'all heard that song? What's love but a second-hand emotion? She says, what's love got to do with it? Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? Well, actually, that's a lie. Love's got a lot to do with it. Because out of the heart, the issues of life flow. Everything flows from your heart. So, what you love, that's where your treasure and your passion and your life force is going to be. And that's why love is a glue that cements a relationship, a covenant relationship together. So, what does this have to do with the role reversal that we just saw? What does this have to do with a woman in the masculine and another one in the feminine? I want to point you to, I want to ask if you observed that they made the girl in the feminine energy, like Gordon said so sweetly, they made her look a little dipsy, and they made the woman in the masculine look sophisticated and smart and wise. Did you guys see that? If you saw that, I needed to put it in the chat for me. Saw that. Saw that. Saw that. Saw that. Yes. And so now think about the age group for which this movie was made. This movie is made for your teens into young adults. And when they are deciding who they want to be, even though the girl who's legally blonde she's a hero and it's beautiful in the end, but in that moment, on the inside, does your daughter, who is in her 20s, and some people on the call may not be in their 20s, but they may have been around that age or just a little older when this movie came out. The subliminal message is, don't be that girl. Be the wise. If you had a choice between being the dipsy blonde or the sage professor, write down for me, ladies, which one you would be. Write down for me which one you would be. Honestly, we're having real talk here. Yep, yep. A lot are saying this smart professor. There's one person saying that she'd be the blonde, but so many would want to be the sage professor. And we have some Sandra Bullock fans. Go Sandra in the crowd. Yeah. Okay. And we have some who want to be the blondie all the way. So let me say that all of your feelings are valid. All of your feelings are the movie is Legally Blonde, Danielle. So we're doing the scene, we just showed the scene where she was kicked out of the law class. Guys, that is not by chance. So the second movie with Sandra Bullock is when she's the boss and her secretary is the male. And actually that's a really good movie to watch. If people have said you're in the masculine energy, that's a really good movie to watch because she goes through the entire movie in the wrong energy. And the man who actually becomes her husband is the man who was her secretary. It takes a big man to take that role, the proposal. Yes, then the proposal. And I want to say that for that age group, that movie isn't Sandra Bullock's role. That's not written by chance either. Remember, I'm showing you your enemy. There is a kingdom that is, and we could go into this a lot more later, but there is a kingdom that is very systematic and very organized and very determined that you do not step into your kingdom assignment and your dominion mandate. And one of the ways to do that is to lock you out of covenant relationship. Everybody with me so far? So now let's reverse engineer how are we going to lock you out of kingdom relationships. Enter role reversal. So let me ask the gentleman on the call. I'm putting Gordon and Jason. Would you be okay to share with us your opinion on this on this matter. Do you guys, um, how do you feel about a lady who behaves like, let's take the first one. How would you behave? And may I ask you, Gordon, to if you would go first? Um, Gordon, how would you feel about a lady who behaved like the professor in the first movie? Would you how do you feel about, being with, dating, just being around a lady like that? What do you think?
That type of person would be kind of scary to be around, but then it's also kind of an attraction too, because they would tell you as it is and not beat around the bush. And they would come across very proper and, kind of like royalty or whatever. But it also is kind of a turnoff too because a lot of stuck upness and I rather be around a person that was more funner and less rigid.
Okay, so let's take and how do you feel about the in Legally Blonde, the young student? How do you feel about her? Even though she's, quite dipsy. Or is that dipsy thing a problem?
No, actually, it's kind of a turn on. Well, I mean, it's fun. It's unpredictable and it's uh more of a youthful, lively type of person that you're gonna have a fun time with. She may be attract a lot of stares or attention that people may make fun of, but it would be a fun time to be around her, and it'd be, a better quality, I think.
Okay. Now you said it's a turn on. Could you, apart from the fun, could you identify? And it's okay if you can't, but is it okay if I ask what, if you know what part of that is a turn on?
Uh, the looseness, the movement, the flow, the energy. It just, I think that that's attractive.
Okay. Ladies, please give it up for Mr. Gordon right in the house, representing the man, ladies, representing the man. And the crowd was wild. All right, so I didn't get to see who was that? Who wanted to say something? All right, the crowd goes wild. All right. Let me ask, is Jason still here? Jason, are you there? I don't see him. I don't see Jason. I'd have loved to hear from Jason as well. Okay, ladies, let's have some real talk feedback. What do you guys think about what you just heard? Sharice, is it okay if I go to you? Because you wrote something in the chat. Are you able to share it out loud with us?
Sure. No, I was just thinking, with both the roles, there's an idea of what we have a professor to be. There's a professional presentation that's required, to be seen as the expert, to be seen as the sage, because you have students coming to you as the authority. So how we function in our professional settings, a lot of us are masked at work, depending on where in the world we operate as well. So there is that area as well of in her professional capacity, she could be masked up so in order to be effective and efficient. But in her everyday, she could be a different person. She could be the friend, she could be the empathic person. And so I think as women, we have the capacity to be multifaceted. So I don't think that should be discounted.
Okay, great point. Great point. Is there any other view? Did anybody else observe anything that they would like to share? Because I want to, Sharice, please give it up for Sharice, ladies and gentlemen. Sharice, that's a really good point. And I want to highlight some other things. Anybody else has anything to share on that before we move on?
I'm just gonna comment on Sharice's point because it's valid and I understand where she comes from, but sometimes, and I will use myself as an example, when you are in that authoritative boss mode, it's usually a challenge to switch off. So unless you're around family and close friends, that energy transcends, very much more in your life than just in the work capacity.
Okay, thank you so much for that vulnerability, Lady Talita. Guys, so yeah, is there anybody else before I put my 2 cents and my mouth in there?
Yeah, just 2 cents from me, or maybe 1 cent.
Okay.
Um, Entrepreneurs and managers come in all shapes and sizes and expressions. So it's not always a high D dominant person that is a manager, right? Or is in that managerial positions. People manage by consensus, people manage on the whim. There are different management styles and different personalities. So while we're kind of focused on the, hey, you are the, manager with your strong authority, not all entrepreneurs are like that, and not all managers are like that. And I am not like that. As I'm saying it because I'm not generally like that. Um, so just a smoke in the weed. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing. Yes, Danielle.
Can't we be both? Like today, I feel like I owned both sides of it. Like I got to be fully in, like things were done. But man, I was in an element of my true self that was like super playful and beautiful, but like respectable. So I don't know if that's a possibility to live in that place. Like as we get more healed and we walk more in, like I felt beautiful and things were getting done, but there was a richness and a play and conversations that made me go, I don't know if that guy was single, but like I'm living more into who I was created to be. But there was an owning that was happening, which was really cool. So can we get to that place? Like that's the
Sure.
goal, right? Like that we as entrepreneurs and business women and leaders can also be soft and inviting, that we're like there's a tenderness that is inviting, like and joy, I don't know, like it was good. It was like one of those where I just was like, wow, Lord, you've been doing some work, like something has shifted. And I wasn't in a masculine, and this I multiple places of sending a message saying, I don't know how to use a ratchet strap. Like, I'm going to need help when I get there. And like favor that was there. And then just later in the day, like just sampling, like interacting with people going, man, I am in the
The
sweet spot.
zone.
And it
That's
was
great.
good. And so, yeah, anyhow.
That's great. Everybody, please give a hand for Rayanne, for Danielle. All right, guys, I'm gonna drop my 2 cents in here, right? So, guys, for this week, I'm living in two small pieces of scripture. we'll be living. I'm inviting you to live with me through the lens of Titus 2, 3 to 5. And the King James says, the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things. Verse 4, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Verse 5, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, in that the word be not blasphemed. And this is how the Passion says it. And you should also teach the older women to live their lives in a way that honors God. They shouldn't be gossipers or addicted to wine, but instead be examples of goodness. These older women can mentor the younger women to passionately love their husbands and to love their children. They can teach them to be self-controlled, sexually pure, spiritual homemakers, good-hearted, and respectfully supportive of their own husbands so that God's message won't be ridiculed. Now, you might say, oh, what does this have to do with anything? I want to talk about a few foundational issues tonight, two of them tonight. Number one, according to Titus 2, is reverent in behavior. And number two is not slanderers. And we're going to see this in the Proverbs 31 woman. I'm not going to read that because everybody's familiar, I believe, with the traits of the Proverbs 31 woman. You could read it when you come off of the call. Oh, sorry about that, Danny. You could read it after you come off of the call, but this is where we'll be living between these two tonight. And so let's talk about that first movie clip in terms of reverence and in terms of not slandering, not gossiping. So I want to look at the professor. I want to read her behavior, not just her manner, not just her words, but I want to read her expressions, the eyes, the way she tilts her head, the way she moves and stands in front of the young lady. What do you guys think? You guys see any of the scripture references in there? No? All right, let me help. If we look back at her, we'll see that she kind of had this smug expression. Would anybody say that she was a little smug? And that it seemed as though she wanted to pick on the younger girl from the beginning on the blonde one, because you obviously don't belong here, and I will make you know that. And she was actually modeling that behavior for everybody else in the class, and the younger woman who answered correctly. Did you guys see that? That she's actually modeling this behavior and inviting Miss Vivian, the other girl who answered, into that same mode of behavior. Can you guys see that? That is not, so that is like gossiping without using the words. That is like mocking someone without using the words. That's like slandering someone's character without using the words. Yes, she wanted to call out that she didn't do the homework. Yes, she didn't, but she didn't mean to, before she knew that the young lady didn't do the homework, she was out to get her. Can you guys see that? So while that is not quote unquote slandering, or I know our audience here. Using uh we're not using curse words, swear words. We're not necessarily going into, yes, Mama Sherry, leading someone into the bad treatment of L, and mentoring the class. She was mentoring the entire class into that treatment. She was modeling for the entire class that disrespect, that mean regard, because Elle was blonde. Now let's go subliminal. Is it okay if I take this back to The Enemy That Hates You? That scene modeled for the entire world a subliminal message. to be mean to the females who are operating in the feminine energy. Can you see that? And guess what? We all bought it, me included. Because I want to be the boss. I want to be Sandra Bullock. Hello. The other movie, but you know. The other movie, please, let's bring it. I mean, The Devil Wears Prada makes the woman who behaves like that, they make her look bad, but still, there's a glorification of the woman who is in that energy. And there's a depreciation of the woman who is in the feminine energy. And really, we're theming the next 5 nights what men really want and what women really need. There was one man on this call, and out of the 2 women, who did he say that he preferred? And we don't want to marry women. We want to marry men. So we need to hear from men what it is that they think is the words he used were turn on and turn off. I mean, I didn't ask him to say that. This is what, and I hope I'm not embarrassing you or anything, Gordon, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. And he didn't know what movies, or he had no idea what we were going to do. He had no idea. But he said the first one was a turn off. I said, well, it's kind of intriguing. It's kind of, but the other one, that's a turn on, because you'll see that you'll always have fun with her. Any takeaways? Any reflections about your own life or where you were fed a social lie and you could see how it could have been, I don't know. In the first movie, we see a woman who slandered by behavior another human and modeled that for everybody else. And the second one, we see a woman being really irreverent, irreverent to another human. Really, she's just like cutting down this man. And there's poetic justice in the end because she falls in love with him and marries him. And well, she kind of has to eat humble pie after being Miss All High and Mighty, you know. But don't you see in all the romances that you have this high and mighty girl and she and the guy don't get along, and then she somewhere realizes that, oh, I need to not be so much this way, and she becomes a little softer and then they get it together. Don't you see that all the way through? And we see that, but the truth is there are many messages. That's the obvious story. That's not the one that we're taking home. That's not the subliminal messaging that is going in. The subliminal message going in is, don't be the blonde girl, everybody will laugh at you. Don't be in the feminine, people will think you're stupid. Are you with me? So they're feeding us a story. Oh, the blonde girl gets what she wants in the end. But there's so many other times where all these Harvard people look at her like she's stupid. Your guardian watching this movie, that's a part of your heart that wants to protect you, is getting a completely different message. Your brain is saying, yeah. And your guardian is saying, no way. I will never be that ditzy, dippy, blonde. I'm going to be sober. I'm going to be respectable. I'm going to be professional. I'm going to be sage. And, you know, and even though, to Sharice's point, I think the lady was a little mean. I think that she's that way in and out of the classroom. I wanted to ask a bad question. I wanted to say, do y'all think that professor is single or married? Write it in the chat then. Do you guys think that professor is single or married? Write it in the chat. Okay, so we have a few singles, we have a married. So let me see. Anybody who said that she's single, want to say why they think so? And everybody who says she's married, why you think so? Oh, very good, Lady Sherry, that she switches.
So I think um when you're single, as a single female, um you feel I think you operate more in your masculine because you feel, you have to protect yourself, you're the protector of yourself. Um and you just kind of guarded, right? Um but to piggyback also off of Sherry's point, which is what kind of happened to me, when somehow when you get married, you realize you cannot, how, well, for the Trinidadians that's on the call, they may know the expression, maybe the others might know it. They say two Borat can live in one hole. So you can't have your husband and you as the woman trying to operate in the masculine energy, right? So then you realize you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, and you kind of really have to soften your tone. And the persons that are around me can attest to me, dialing back and operating more in my feminine. So that's why I will definitely say I think she was single.
Thanks, Talita, for sharing. Everybody give it up for Lady T. All right, so let's hear from the married. So let's hear from those who, to go with that point, Talita, Gordon says that she could be married. Sherry says that too. She could be married, but like you say, two male rats can't live in the same hole. So the male then takes the feminine or the submissive role. Guys, okay, let me just say it. Men were created to be leaders, wild and free. And a man might be enduring that now, but the day will come when he wants to be who he was created to be. As he becomes healed and whole, he will become more and more, hopefully, that strong leader. And what I see, unfortunately, happen in a lot of relationships is when that day comes, if the wife is not prepared for it, I see those men divorce, ask for a divorce or choose a divorce, and the woman has no idea what caused it. And it was simply this, was simply this. I'm thinking of a case right now, thinking of two cases right now, and they find someone who maybe just as qualified. And the one difference is she knows how to be quote unquote submissive. She's still strong, but like Talita says, she knows how to mellow out. But let me hear from those who say married. I want to know why Danielle says she could be single or she could be married. But she's married and miserable. Why do you say that?
Because I think that she's being the dominant leader and her husband's passive. And so she's probably mad at him because he is weak. She sees him as weak. And he is being crushed underneath that.
Yeah.
And so he's not being his true self either.
Yeah, that's a good point that women don't really want a gentleman who's not leading. They really want a strong male, especially strong women. They want a strong lead. They want a strong male. So Hannah is asking, what if you have to be in both energies? The masculine provider, if you live alone, but trying to date and translate into feminine, when you have to date. Any comments? What do you guys think about that? I want to ask Hannah if nobody else has any. I want to ask, why do you have to be in the masculine if you have to provide for yourself? what part of providing for yourself means being in the masculine? I get it that nobody else is going to pay the bills, but who says that you have to take on a masculine persona to do that? Okay, Lady Rhoda, go for it.
I think she may have to take that role, take up that role because women as the softer creature or the softer humankind tend to be taken advantage of by the opposite sex or in general, especially if you're single in certain areas. So sometimes you're forced to take up that persona just to preserve self or to be respected. Sometimes it's just to cover, that soft side of you. Sometimes history, experiences in the past, all that kind of adds to the image we become or character that we pretend to be just for self-preservation.
Yes, okay, safety. I'm going to ask, so this isn't directed at Rhoda. This is directed to the room at large. Think about a girl who stayed in the feminine and wasn't abused. What happened to her? Find some example in your life of a girl who stayed in the feminine. What happened to her? How many of you would say she got married? Anybody? Go for it, Lady T.
No, I was saying that I was just raising my hand in agreement with you that
Oh,
yes.
that's what happens to many girls. They are so what I want to gently do, and I don't know if there's any gentle way to do this, but I really want to pop that bubble. I really want to burst that balloon because I want to ask, how has that been working for you? Because we hear it talking about single to soulmate, right? And please allow me space to be loving enough to speak the truth. So I get it that this layer of masculinity or whatever was there to protect. By protecting you from everybody, it is a non-discerning wall that will keep all out. And that's not what we want to do right now. We want to bring at least one, the right one, in. And so maybe in the past, because we're blaming what we do in the future on something that happened in the past. How is that working for you? Danielle says the friend who she's thinking of, or the friends, they were feminine and inviting and strong and faithful, but they were wooed. And I want to invite all of us into that space. That's a woman Gordon says he's looking for. Not quite in those words, but the girl who is fun and the girl who is not, going to look down her nose on or, the girl with whom he can have movement and life and, he says it's going to be funner. It was more fun. You see life there. Sarah says there's more power in feminine energy than many women realize. Rhoda has a great point that being in the feminine, not sometimes, I would say all the time, brings favor from the opposite sex. All the time. Are there people who want to look to manipulate and so on? Of course, of course. And that's why we have to be discerning and, not put ourselves in dangerous situations. But are there gentlemen out there who want an opportunity to open the door for you and help you put your groceries in the, oh yeah, oh yeah. Yes, Lady Talita, to bring us home at 10 p.m.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know your time up. So I just thought, I think usually being vulnerable helps, right? So seeing that you already popped the balloon, I guess there's no going back. Um, I struggled with this. I can tell you when I was single and I was working with Amber, and Amber said, "Ladies, we need to be more feminine." I am on the other side and I am screaming, "Amber, are you mad? 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 Are you mad?" Literally, that is how I felt because prior to working with Amber, I was watching all these videos and I'm like, I'm not that girl. I'm not that ditzy. I'm not that. And God challenged me. He said, just try. Because the way how Amber broke it down, I was like, it doesn't seem that bad. Just try. So I go to the supermarket and instead of picking up all the bags and going to the car, the young man would say, "Do you need help?" And I would say, "Sure." And it's nothing. You just have a nice conversation with a young man going to your car, you know, or, just other stuff. And then I realized how much operating in the feminine invited conversation with random people, men and women. But when you give off more of that masculine energy, people size you up, they watch you up and down, and they're like, "Oh, she looks scary." Like, yeah, they correct, correct. That's exactly it. But it's not, at the end of the day, you also have to be true to yourself. And you can't put your put yourself so far out on a limb that you feel uncomfortable doing it because you genuinely like, and I think Danielle, I'm not sure, would have been saying that where, she felt like today she was operating in both. And, she really just felt, like herself and conversation was flowing and I think the more you're open to it and the more that you try it, you realize it's not that bad. But until you settle it, then obviously it's going to be one of the things that you're just going to be like, okay, I can't, I can't, I can't. But if you just open yourself up to it, you'll realize start small, you know. I can tell you all, I'm not the ditzy, dumb, blunt type. I am not. I am very domineering, but I know when to be that way. And then I know when to be like, no, Talita, this requires you to literally just, yes, try and act like a dumb blunt, because that's the energy that if you want this whole interaction or whatever to go well, that's how you have to behave. It does not take away from who you are and what you bring to the table, but the situation calls for that.
Great share. And that's going to take us out of the main session for tonight. But I do invite everyone to stay for the VIP. All of you who are staying, I'll see you on the other side. Goodbye.